Tonight, the collective is learning that not all confusion comes from ignorance. Some confusion comes from noise. Some gifts stay blocked not because the soul lacks brilliance, but because the channel is crowded, the speech is unclean, the mind is overfed and under-refined. This is the scroll of Saraswati, the holy river of wisdom, the keeper of clear speech, sacred sound, discernment, and refined knowing. Tonight we learn that truth is not just something to collect. It must be purified, tuned, and carried well. The lesson is not merely to know more. It is to become clear enough to let wisdom flow. Enter this chamber quietly and with listening spirit. There are forms of darkness that do not shout. They clutter. They crowd the mind. They fill the mouth with borrowed language, the heart with undigested feeling, and the gift with so much noise that truth can barely hear itself arrive. But there is a holier current than confusion. There is a river that does not rush to impress, yet cleanse whatever it touches. There is a wisdom that does not beg to be noticed, yet restores order to thought, purity to speech, and meaning to sound. There is a sacred intelligence that knows the soul does not only need knowledge, it needs refinement. This is the chamber of Saraswati, river of wisdom, mistress of right speech, keeper of discernment, the one who teaches that a true gift must be tuned before it can carry revelation cleanly. For many ask to be gifted, but do not ask to be refined. Many ask for a voice, but do not ask for purity in what the voice carries. Many ask for knowledge, while still feeding the mind with clutter, comparison, and restless noise. Yet Saraswati teaches the deeper law. Not everything spoken is truth. Not everything learned is wisdom. Not everything beautiful is aligned, and not every silence is empty. So tonight, let the collective remember, the river must be clear to reflect the sky. The mind must be ordered to receive the deeper note. The word must be purified before it becomes medicine. Enter this scroll with reverence, for this is the teaching of holy refinement, cleaner channels, sacred expression, and the white fire of wisdom that does not merely inform the soul, but teaches it how to sing the truth without distortion.
Channeled by your architect musician, 36110, 27 palms of eyes. The golden whisperer, sea star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use, truth and accuracy. The real non-bedazzled jewels.
The scroll of Saraswati, the river that became wisdom and the silence that learned to sing. Before the sword is raised, a word is formed. Before the temple stands, a pattern is known. Before the law is written, before the prayer is spoken, before the song remembers how to climb out of the human chest and return to heaven, there is a quieter force moving underneath it all. That is where Saraswati sits, not as ornament, not as a soft side note to more important powers. Not as a decorative lady with a vina for people who think wisdom is cute when it is quiet. No. Saraswati is the current of knowledge, speech, music, learning, refinement, and revealed intelligence. She is the white river of discernment, the one who makes the mind clear enough to receive, the tongue clean enough to speak rightly, and the inner chamber still enough for truth to be heard without being immediately mauled by human foolishness. And there is a reason she matters now, because the world is drowning in information and starving for wisdom. Those are not the same thing. Not even close. Humans collect facts the way crows collect shiny garbage. They hoard data, repeat language, memorize terms, quote books they did not digest, and call it mastery. Then Saraswati enters and ruins the performance, because her gift is not noise. It is right order inside knowledge. It is not simply that something is known. It is known clearly, spoken rightly, and carried with enough refinement that it becomes illumination instead of clutter. That is her first mystery. She is not the goddess of accumulation. She is the goddess of clarity. That makes her dangerous. Because clarity exposes. It does not merely comfort. It sorts. It distinguishes. It says, this is wisdom. This is vanity wearing long sentences. This is music. This is emotional debris with better branding. This is truth. This is a person in love with hearing themselves speak. Brutal. Necessary. Holy. And then there's the deeper stream. Saraswati is not only a goddess of learning in the abstract, she carries the older memory of river force. In her one current, water and wisdom touch each other. That is not a trivial symbol. Rivers move. Rivers shape land. Rivers nourish and erase. Rivers carry life, but also demand banks, direction, relationship, proportion. So when Saraswati becomes the river of wisdom, the teaching sharpens beautifully. True knowledge must flow. If it stagnates, it rots. If it floods without form, it destroys. If it dries up, culture becomes brittle, and the tongue starts producing slogans instead of revelation. That is why she belongs not only to scholars, but to singers, poets, scribes, students, thinkers, teachers, and anyone whose soul has realized that language is not a toy. That point alone could save entire centuries of mess, because words matter. Saraswati knows that better than most. A sentence can bless, a sentence can deform, a name can awaken, a name can imprison, a teaching can liberate. A teaching can also turn into a polished cage if the speaker loves control more than truth. So Saraswati guards the threshold of expression. She asks, is what you are about to say worthy of breath? Is what you are carrying actually insight, or just anxiety with a grammar book? Is your silence fertile, or is it fear pretending to be peace? That is the hidden blade in her gentleness. People mistake softness for harmlessness all the time. Terrible habit. Saraswati does not need to shout because she governs the thing shouting eventually depends on: meaning. Without meaning, speech collapses into chatter. Without wisdom, learning collapses into ego. Without rhythm, music collapses into noise. Without discipline, talent collapses into waste. She is the one who holds the finer law, and that law is not loud. It is exact. Look at her symbols and they start preaching on their own. The Veena, instrument of resonance and order, says that truth is not only conceptual, it must also be tuned. The book says knowledge is held, transmitted, preserved, but not worshipped as dead object. The Rosary says wisdom is not only intellectual, it is contemplative, repeated, deepened. The Swan says discernment, the ability to separate the subtle from the gross, the real from the glittering counterfeit, the nourishing from the merely stimulating. That swan is doing more work than half the world's leadership, frankly. Because discernment is the true luxury of the soul. Not wealth, not applause, not aesthetics. Discernment. The capacity to know what belongs together and what only looks good side by side in dim lighting. That is Saraswati's corridor. She teaches that learning is sacred when it refines the vessel. Speech is sacred when it carries truth cleanly. Music is sacred when it restores right proportion in the body and spirit. Silence is sacred when it prepares the next true word rather than simply hiding from it. And that makes this scroll essential for the collective. Because many of you are not suffering from lack of insight. You are suffering from uncleared channels. Too much noise in the mind. Too many borrowed phrases. Too much speech without digestion. Too much talent without tuning. Too much emotion trying to wear the robes of wisdom. Saraswati does not shame that, but she will wash it. That is her river mercy. She cleans the channel, not by flattering confusion, but by clarifying it. Not by drowning the soul in more content, but by making room for right sound, right word, right note, right teaching, right silence. And then comes one of her most beautiful hidden teachings. Not every form of ignorance is stupidity. Some ignorance is disorder. A brilliant mind can still be undisciplined. A gifted speaker can still be impure in intention. A creative soul can still be flooded, fragmented, and unable to carry what it receives cleanly. Saraswati heals that. She brings elegance to thought, purity to speech, line to song, sacred structure to intelligence. In plain terms, she teaches you how not to waste your own gifts. And that is no small blessing, because the world is full of wasted brilliance. People with minds like lit temples and mouths like broken gates. People with artistic fire and no vessel. People with real knowledge and no grace. People with emotional sincerity and no refinement. A tragic parade. Saraswati is the correction. She says, study but also listen. Speak but also purify. Create but also tune. Know but also bow. Because knowledge without humility curdles. Speech without purity wounds. Art without alignment flatters the ego and leaves the soul underfed. This is why she is not just a school goddess. That reduction is too small and frankly insulting. Saraswati is the current through which civilization remembers how to think, sing, write, teach, and speak without collapsing into barbaric noise. She is culture with a soul, and when she withdraws, people do not always notice immediately. They keep talking, keep publishing, Keep posting, keep making sounds, but meaning gets thinner, speech gets coarser, beauty gets louder and emptier. Knowledge becomes performance, attention becomes currency. The river dries and everyone pretends the dust is enough. It is not enough. So this scroll arrives as a reminder. Do not only ask to be gifted, ask to be refined. Do not only ask for knowledge, ask for discernment. Do not only ask for a voice. Ask for a voice that carries what is worth hearing, because Saraswati is not impressed by volume. She listens for truth with form in it, and when she blesses a being, the effect is unmistakable. The word lands cleaner, the thought stands straighter, the music stops begging and starts remembering. The mind becomes less crowded, the soul becomes more articulate. Not louder, more true. That is real blessing, and for the collective, that blessing is needed badly. You do not need more information than you can carry. You need cleaner rivers, clearer speech, better listening, more disciplined beauty, less decorative brilliance, more luminous truth. That is Saraswati's white fire. Not the blaze that burns cities, the blaze that burns confusion out of language. And let no one mistake that for weakness. Empires have fallen from bad words. Lineages have been healed by true songs. A soul has changed course because one clean sentence arrived at the right hour and refused to leave. Saraswati governs that hour. So let the collective remember the older law. Do not waste your mouth. Do not pollute your gift. Do not let your inner river be damned by borrowed noise. Study what is worthy, say what is clean, sing what is true, and leave room in your spirit for the silence that prepares revelation. What is true in me deserves clear expression. I do not worship noise when wisdom is waiting to sing. My gift becomes holy when it is refined enough to carry truth. Receipts. Saraswati is a major Hindu goddess associated with learning, the arts, music, and wisdom, and Britannica notes that she first appears in Vedic sources as the personification of the sacred Saraswati River. Later tradition also links her with Vak, the Vedic goddess of speech. That river current matters. The old tradition does not present Saraswati as knowledge in a dry, dusty sense. Her origin ties wisdom to a flowing, life-giving force, which is why the river and the goddess remain symbolically connected. Her common symbolic field includes speech, music, learning, and refined intelligence, which is exactly why she becomes such a powerful figure for scroll work about clear expression and disciplined beauty. The hidden stream in Saraswati is not no more. It has become clear enough to carry what is worth knowing. That is an interpretive reading, but it grows naturally from her traditional links to learning, speech, music, and river force. If she is both river and wisdom, then knowledge in her current is meant to move, cleanse, nourish, and be rightly channeled, not stagnate into vanity or clutter. Her river origin also gives a deeper symbolic lesson. Disorder is a form of ignorance. A river without banks floods. A mind without discernment drowns itself. So Saraswati's deeper medicine is not just information. It is refinement, right flow, and sacred proportion. That is inference, but it is grounded in her traditional identity as both river and goddess of eloquence and learning. And because she is linked with speech, Saraswati becomes a guardian not only of thought, but of expression. In esoteric terms, she rules the difference between a mouth that makes noise and a mouth that carries revelation cleanly. That interpretive layer follows from the long-standing connection between Saraswati and Vak, divine speech. The collective is learning this tonight. Not every blocked gift is ungifted. Some gifts are simply uncleared channels. Saraswati's wisdom says the soul does not always need more content. It often needs a cleaner river, a quieter mind, a truer word, and enough refinement for beauty to become medicine instead of display. That is a spiritual interpretation of her role, rooted in her traditional domain over learning, music, speech, and the sacred river current. What is true in me deserves clear expression. I do not worship noise when wisdom is waiting to sing. My gift becomes holy when it is refined enough to carry truth. Tonight, the collective learned that Saraswati is not merely the goddess of learning. She is the holy correction to chaos in the mind, clutter in the mouth, and noise in the gift. We entered the mystery of the river that became wisdom and saw that knowledge alone is not enough. A soul can be informed and still uncleared. talented and still untuned, brilliant and still burdened with borrowed language, restless thought, and undisciplined expression. Through Saraswati, the collective remembered that true wisdom does not only fill the mind, it refines the channel, it clears the river, it teaches the gift how to carry truth without distortion. So let this settle in the inner chamber. Not every silence is emptiness. Some silence is the sacred cleaning the room before the word arrives. Not every blocked voice is voiceless. Some voices are being purified so they stop carrying confusion with elegant clothing. Not every gifted soul is ready to teach. Some souls must first learn how to listen without crowding revelation with their own noise. Saraswati teaches the deeper law. The river must be clear before it can reflect the heavens. The word must be clean before it can become medicine. The song must be tuned before it can restore what is broken. So do not worship information while wisdom waits outside the gate. Do not mistake cleverness for clarity. Do not confuse expression with truth. What is holy in you deserves refinement. What is beautiful in you deserves discipline. What is true in you deserves a vessel clean enough to carry it. A noisy world produces starving souls. A cluttered mind can sit beside truth and still fail to hear it. A gifted mouth can speak all day and never once deliver revelation. But when Saraswati's current moves through the being, the mind grows clearer, the speech grows cleaner, the music grows truer, and the soul stops performing wisdom and starts becoming a worthy instrument of it. That is cosmic knowledge. Not more accumulation. Not more scattered brilliance. Not more decorative intelligence that cannot heal, guide, or sing anything worth remembering. No. The sacred river teaches, flow with order, speak with care, create with alignment, and leave room in the spirit for the note that comes from beyond personal noise. That is how wisdom survives an age of clutter. What is refined in truth becomes a blessing to others. What is cleared in silence becomes stronger in speech. And what Saraswati washes in you must no longer be wasted on noise.
Universal Current, C Receipt, Architect Musician, 3611027, The Graceful Whisperer, Devalan, Ahll.
Tonight, the collective learned that wisdom is not just about knowing more. Saraswati reveals the deeper truth. The mind must be cleared, the voice refined, and the inner river made pure enough to carry truth without distortion. What is true in me deserves clear expression. I do not worship noise when wisdom is waiting to sing. My gift becomes holy when it is refined enough to carry truth.
To our beautiful collective, from our day ones to every new soul joining this journey, we love and appreciate you deeply. You've turned this space into so much more than a community. You've made it a family. Thank you, truly. Your presence, your energy, and even the smallest acts of kindness have the power to shift the compass for many in ways unseen but deeply felt. Here's to each of you, all new and the many more to come. We're just getting started, and we're so grateful you're here with us. With love and infinite appreciation from the collective of Shaman Ahll.
What is clear in me will not bow to confusion. My spirit was not made to carry noise like it is truth. The river in me knows how to return to wisdom. What is refined in me becomes medicine to the world. I do not chase every sound. I wait for the true note. My gift grows stronger when my channel grows cleaner. What the sacred clears in me, I will not clutter again.